Hello, this is Vicky with Vibrance Wool Art, and we're going to be looking at this snowman kit. We're going to make something that looks a bit like this guy here. And these are the different wools we'll use. We're going to use a little bit of yarn for the details on the hat and the scarf. And other things in your kit, you'll have a black mat that you'll felt onto. I'm just using this. That's my big old used one that I use, but you'll have a nice brand new soy-based top of the line felting mat to use. And this is called pre-felt. That will come in your kit. That's just lightly felted wool that you'll lay on top of your black felting mat. And that's what you're going to create your picture on. That's kind of like your canvas right there, okay? And the tools you'll be needing are these needles. There'll be needles in your kit, and you'll find a toothpick in your kit as well. The toothpick is in case you make a mistake. Instead of using this tiny little needle to shift things sideways, you're going to use this toothpick so that you avoid breaking your needle. You're only going to have 3 needles in your kit. 1 needle can last an experienced felter 6 months, but since you're new, I gave you 3 just to make sure you'd have plenty for your project here. So we're going to start. The first thing we're going to do is the background, and we'll start with the blue. So we'll just take off fluffy bats of blue and lay it on the background there. All around, and you want to overlap it. And you can see I'm just ripping from the big ball that you'll get in your kit, just ripping off bits. You don't want to just clunk it on there because you'll have a big thick bit. And about the top 2/3 of your picture is going to be blue, and you can see I'm kind of avoiding the middle. That's where we're going to build the snowman, so there's no point in putting a lot of blue there. And we're watching for holes where you can see the white through. You just put a bit more on those spots, and then once you have it how you like it, it looks pretty good, it looks pretty even, then it's time to use your needle. Okay, so with the needle, we always want to go in at the same angle, or sorry, out at the same angle that we go in, and that will help avoid breaking the end. So up and down, up and down. You're just doing light little pokes all over. If you do deep pokes, they're going to go deep down into your mat underneath, and that's just not that useful. You want shallower pokes, and then you're not going to attach this pre-felt to your black mat underneath. So you're just going to go ahead and felt that into place. And then once you're happy with how that looks, you're going to move forward. Okay, so we have our blue in place, and now we can do our snow at the bottom, and then our background will be done. So we'll just do the same thing we did for the blue. We'll take tufts of the white, we'll overlap them along the bottom and try not to leave any gaps. It's not going to matter too much down here because it's white underneath. And then we'll felt that into place. Just nice little jabs. Don't worry if there's little bits of grass or whatever. These are from sheep in Alberta. It's cleaned and carded, but there are always little bits left in there. Most of the time, they'll just disappear while you're felting. They'll felt right in, so don't worry about those. At the end, you can go over it and pick out any that didn't end up getting felted in. Okay, there we go. Okay, and now we're going to build the snowman. we're gonna build it just like we would build a regular snowman. We're gonna put the biggest ball on the bottom. I'm just taking some wool and making it kind of ball shaped. You can roll it in your hand. You can do it however you like. And then a real snowman would not be balanced like that on the surface of the snow. It sinks in a bit. So we'll try and sink it in a bit like that. And then we felt that into place. And then we just continue, do the same thing for the next two balls, making them a little bit smaller each time. So there we have our snowman with all three balls overlapping just a bit. You can make yours a bit more defined. My background didn't come quite in far enough, so I'm just going to fill that in. Pretty easy to fix mistakes. And your snowman is going to look different than mine because of how you look at the world, and that's a good thing. They're all going to be a bit different. Okay, so we've got a snowman. So what's next? Now we're going to do the hat. So you don't have to do red. You're going to have these colors to work with. So if you want to work with something else, you can go ahead and do that. It's your snowman. So I'm just kind of shaping a hat the way I want his hat to be. Your hat, you might have a different kind of hat on yours. And you know, that's not really like a hat, but once we felt it in, it'll take the shape that we want. Okay, and we'll just keep going with the hat. And I kind of put a little rim on there on this one, so let's do that. So you'll take some of your wool, roll it in your hands till it's got a bit of texture, anchor it on one side, and then just felt it right in, like that. And you can play with your hat shape. Wool is pretty forgiving. Move it around, pick it out. If you don't like it, you can use your toothpick to pick it out, or just use your hands. Just don't use your needle. Okay. And then included in your kit is some yarn. In my original picture here, it looks almost like it's windy. It's blowing the scarf around, but in this one I'm just going to go straight up because you can do it however you want. It's your picture. So I'll do a few different things. Scissors are not included in your kit, but everything else that you need is. So we just got the pieces, and anchoring it is just felting it in with lots of little jabs right at the base. You're connecting those little pieces of yarn with the top of the hat. They're all anchored in there, and then you can place them, put them where you like them. If you do a lot of pokes along the yarn while you're placing it, it'll kind of lose its texture. It won't look as much like yarn. That's why I like to anchor it right at the base. Okay, and then the scarf. The scarf is the same thing. You're gonna roll out your pieces. For this one, it kind of puffs out a bit like a scarf would, so you'll roll it in your hand and then place it and felt it in just like you did before. Okay, so I think for this one we're gonna do the scarf a little different, just to show you that you can really play with this and have fun with it. This snowman is going to be facing straight on instead of looking off to the side a bit. So he's going to have a scarf coming down more in the front. And same thing with the strands. You're just going to cut the pieces off and put them on. Okay, the scarf's on, the hat's on. We are ready for the coal eyes and buttons. That's what we'll do next. So we've got lots of black wool. We're only going to need a tiny bit of that. This kit comes with more wool than you'll need. You'll see all the leftovers when you're done. And I'll show you some fun things you can do with your leftovers to play around. Okay, so I'm just rolling little balls. I'm going to felt them in place, and I'm going to put them in somewhere different than the last one. I'm going to have fun with it. Okay, got my coal in place. They're not all exactly the same. They're not all perfectly even, and that's just like how real coal would be, so that's great. Again, there's way more wool than you're going to need. So I'm just going to take a little bit. I'm going to roll it, but I'm going to try and roll it with one side pressing more than the other. And that's going to give us a bit more of a carroty shape. And the more you rub it, the more it'll felt on its own. Okay, so it's kind of carroty on both sides. I'm going to cut it. There we go. And oh, it kind of fell apart there. Okay. This guy's nose, and go down a bit. Yours could even come straight out, almost like a sculpture. It's however you want to do it. Okay, it's just about that big for him. And then it's just the arms. So the arms, you've got lots of brown wool. You're going to stretch it out a bit. And that stretching you'll have thinner bits, and you don't want to pull it too hard or it'll just break apart. You want it to just kind of thin out like that. Once you've got a nice long piece, then you can rub it until it felts. A little bit. I don't know if I said what felting is. Felting is when wool, the little fibers of the wool grab onto each other, like Velcro almost. And then they get more compact. Let me do that. Okay, so this guy, his arms are going to do something different. What is he going to do? I think he's going to be reaching up. And we know sticks, we've looked at trees, we know they don't just go in perfectly straight lines. They zig and they zag. You can twist this as you go if you want, and that will kind of shape it a bit more the way you want it. Oops, not the toothpick. And then we want it even skinnier for the ends of the branches. We know from looking at trees, it gets skinnier and skinnier as it goes further from the trunk. So our tree is going to do that too. Our branches, our little branch hands. Okay, and we're not looking for 5 fingers like a person. It's a branch. This one has 2, the other one might have 3. And we'll do the same for the other arm. So, our little guy has a smile now. He looks a bit happier. And this one has a snowball in his hand too. I could finish him off with a bit of light blue, but I kind of like how he is in this one, so I'm going to leave him how he is. And I did say I would show you what you can do with your extra wool. So this is my extra wool from that. So there's quite a bit. So here are some things that you could make. This is made with a gingerbread man cookie cutter. I just put white wool in there and then decorated her. This is a butterfly cookie cutter. And then you can make a ball. You can make all kinds of things. But you always want to use your mat. You don't ever want to use your lap always the mat on a table or a desk or something like that to protect yourself. And for your snowman, if you're wanting to put it on display, which of course you do, you'll want to put it in a shadow box, because all this nice texture that you have, that's so wonderful about wool and felting, you're going to lose that if you put it in a picture frame. It's going to squash. So in a little shadow box, this would be in a 5x7 shadow box. And if your blue doesn't quite come far enough, just add some more. If it's too far, you can trim it, and that should work. Thank you for watching, and happy felting.